And joining me at Warcat is another CCS champion in the 101 weight class. Please welcome senior Melissa Lee. Thank you so much for coming out here, Melissa.
Thank you.
Yeah, so just give me a little information on how did you become a wrestler?
So I started wrestling in the 5th grade when I saw that my older sister, Nicole, and my older brother, Ryan, were both, because we had a wrestling mat in our front room, and so they would always practice there with my dad, and I would see them, and I'd always remember like wanting to get on the mat because I was thinking, you know, if they could do it, then I could wrestle. And so obviously I tried to grapple with them, but I was pushed aside because I didn't know what I was doing. And then later my parents decided to put me and my younger brother into a local club. And then that's where we really got interested in it, but I didn't really get intense training until my middle school years.
Yeah, so how old were you then when you were trying to wrestle with your siblings, you know, on the wrestling mat?
About 8 or 9.
Okay. And your sister graduated as a CCS champion as well.
Yeah.
So what did you learn from her as a teammate and as your sister?
Well, just watching her wrestle from, you know, when I was in 5th grade to now, I see how hard she works, and then she's really been a role model for me because when I was growing up, she was like the only girl and the other girl in the room, and so I looked up to her, and just seeing her go against guys and, you know, actually winning, that was like really meaningful to me, and like it inspired me to work harder too, and to just, you know, follow in her footsteps.
Did you play any other sports before you started wrestling?
Yeah, my dad actually put us into roller hockey, all four of us. Yeah, so then like I was used to my male-dominated sports, and then when we went to wrestling, we stopped roller hockey because we knew that if you wanted to be good at a sport, you had to focus all your time on that one sport.
So all 4 of you did roller hockey, and then all 4 of you switched to wrestling at the same time too?
Yeah.
Okay, pretty cool. And let's talk about what you do outside of wrestling. Do you have any hobbies or interests?
Yeah, so, well, right now I'm working on this program to encourage young elementary school girls to wrestle. It's called Yes We Can, and actually I think it was last week that I talked to 2 elementary schools at their assemblies and, you know, tried to encourage young girls to come to our girls' practice yesterday and to actually join their elementary league too.
Yeah, so let's talk about that for a little bit because wrestling is male-dominated.
Yeah.
And is it tough being a girl wrestler, or?
It is. It's very tough. Like, the guys can get a little mean because they might see it as unfair because women's wrestling isn't as advanced, and so it's definitely not as hard to achieve in women's wrestling, but it's definitely still hard, but I think it's just hard for them to see a different perspective. They don't see us as equal to them. And so I feel like there's a lot more pressure on us to just, you know, prove that we do deserve to be in this sport and we are good enough. And yet I feel a lot more pressure because everyone expects me to be better. And I've been, since middle school, I've been pretty decent against guys. And so I feel like that's carried on into high school. And then every time I wrestle a guy.
And so you guys practice with the boys then?
Yeah, we do.
And you mentioned that you're trying to get, you know, the girls wrestling program to grow. So have you seen it grow in your time as being a wrestler? Like more girls joining?
Yeah, it has definitely grown, but my reason for creating this program was because I didn't really see it growing in the previous years. Like last year we didn't have any freshman girls on our team, and you know, like my coach does this elementary school league, but they were also not getting very many girls.
Yeah.
And so that's why I took the initiative to kind of encourage more to join.
And last year was the first year that CCS merged CIF boys and girls championship tournaments.
Yeah.
So what were your thoughts on that?
There's definitely a lot more pressure because, you know, more eyes watching you, and like, you know, like I said before, you kind of have to prove that girls wrestling is, you know, just as good as boys. I did like working, like being there with my teammates and having their support and also supporting them on the mat. I think it was a great team bonding experience, and I actually would hope that they do it again this year.
And where do you think this stigma comes from that girls wrestling is easier? Because it's the same sport.
Yeah. Well, girls wrestling isn't as developed yet. It's a relatively new sport. And like for that reason, our skill set might not be as advanced, and the competition definitely isn't as hard because there aren't as many girls. And so I think they see that, and they see how much we have accomplished as girls, and we all work equally as hard. But for us to have achieved more by being a girl, I think that's hard for them to see.
So how do you think your team is this year?
We lost my sister, but I think we'll definitely do well at CCS. We're going to get some freshmen this year, so hopefully that'll help our team.
So how many girls are on the team right now?
Right now, about 6 or 7.
6 or 7.
Yeah, so it's not too big, but I think we have the skill set to do well.
And let's talk about Coach McCune. How is McCune?
Yeah.
Let's talk about Coach McCune. How is he for you, and how has he helped you a lot?
Well, both him and Deuce are very supportive. Ever since I've started going to the club, they've always kind of taken time to come talk to me and help me with moves individually. And I think that has definitely helped, especially because most of the time I was one of the few girls in the room, and so I was a little intimidated and insecure, but they made me feel a lot more comfortable. And Deuce even traveled with me to Texas on Mother's Day, and that really touched me, and I'm so happy he did. Yeah.
And the lifestyle of a wrestler is not easy. So what's it like for you, having to diet and really watch your training the whole year?
Yeah. The only actual time I've really had to diet was when I was going 88 pounds for Guatemala, but then I'm not doing that again. But I had to, put myself on a very disciplined schedule, no snacking, and whenever I was hungry, I'd just drink water. I think I didn't eat the day before I had to weigh in. It's probably not a good idea, but that's what I did.
And do you see yourself wrestling in college?
No, because the academic universities I'm pursuing, they don't offer women's wrestling programs. But if there are clubs, wherever I end up going, I will definitely join.
Okay. And how important are academics to you then?
I actually prioritize more than wrestling. But I don't know, they're kind of what I've been focusing on since middle school, and wrestling is more like a hobby to me.
So what's your GPA looking like then right now?
Right now, I have a 4.0.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. And your sister goes to Stanford. So what's your ideal college? Are you planning on following her to Stanford, or?
Well, I'm applying early to Stanford, which I think is in a month. Hopefully I get in, but if not, then I'll work on my other applications to other schools.
What are some girl tournaments that you would advise GetSportsFocus to cover this upcoming year?
I definitely say Napa. Napa is a big girls tournament, and then I think besides that, just CCS and state are good ones.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Melissa, for coming in. And since you said that you don't have to diet too much, we'd like to give you this Ike's gift card.
Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you so much, and go ahead and get yourself a sandwich. Yeah.